Heyo, this is Stracco, and today we are once again going to be playing The Wilder, with a cool new build this time, which is literally just this bell. Yeah, the Wraith Calling Bell in possession at the start of Expedition. I think this is one of the most insane rolls that you can get on a relic. Aside from that, we're going to have two character skill uses because I hate playing this character without it, and follow-up attacks possible when using character skill. What this does is I can light my sword on fire after I grappling hook. We're also going to have improved crits and improved stance breaking when wielding two armaments. That means power stancing, which I'll explain probably once I'm playing. For my final tip, you can drink your flask in the hold. I don't know why. We are also going to be trying to get Wilder's Remembrance Stun today, the one that requires getting a silver tier in particular. I think the Shrouded City is really neat, and I kind of want a chance to show it off. Finally, with the Tricephalo Stun on every character, from now on what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these with square, and then what happens then is when I commence the expedition, any of these can be picked at random. So we have no clue what we're going to be fighting. That will, one, stop me from prepping, and two, hopefully make these videos a little more interesting. Let's get to it. Alright. Okay, so right away we've got one of the best church spawns I've ever seen. One, two, three, and we could take the tree to get to the third one. So when you get the city, this city in particular, as your big shifting earth event, what I like to do is, unlike the other ones where I like to go there stronger, I actually like to go into the city as soon as Night 2 starts. And the reason is the city is completely massive relative to the rest of the things that you can get. So if you try to go there and after farming anything else, chances are good you're actually not going to be able to clear it. Whereas if you go into it, there are a lot of weak enemies that spawn, right? So you can kind of cheat your way into getting some really quick runes and levels by just going to the city and farming it in a very specific way. That being, I mean, we'll get there when we get there, but basically you go in and you go this way first instead of this way, which will get you to the boss quicker. Now, I got my level 2, and for those who don't know, getting level 2 is the most important thing that you should be trying to do when you first land. The stat difference between 1 and 2 is massive, but with level 2 acquired, let's show off this Wraith Calling Bell. I called it the most overpowered weapon. I called it one of the most overpowered things you could start with. Look at that tracking. That is for a good reason. 3 people with this bell will trivialize your early game. It does so much more damage than I could possibly do. Actually, let's damage test just to see. I'm hitting for 96. The bell's hitting for, what, 120? I believe it also scales... It scales for sure in the base game with your int and faith. I don't know if it scales in Nightreign. I assume it does, because why wouldn't it? But it makes it where even if you don't have any gear at all, you can kind of cheat your way into beating guys like these. Well, you can if you don't mess up. Yeah, it's got insane tracking, insane damage, like... I almost can't believe it's allowed to be this strong. If multiple people get it, yikes. I actually kind of want to do a video on this item because it also has a few interesting things, but I won't spoil what those are in case I decide to do it. Because, dude, the tracking makes me laugh every time. You need specific loadouts in order to make it work, so here's hoping I get some to show it off. Now, is doing this worth it over just farming an easy camp? Probably not, let's be real. But, it certainly feels cool. Also, checking our boss, it is the Equilibrios Beast. Oh boy, that is probably the hardest possible thing I could have gotten. Alright, we're gonna do our best. So the Equilibrious Beast, I don't know that I've ever actually mentioned this in this series, I'm sorry, but every single night boss is weak to a specific element. The Equilibrious Beast is weak to Frenzy. Frenzy is perhaps the second rarest element in the game. I think there's Frenzy and there's Sleep. I don't think either of them can be acquired for the most part. For Sleep, I've only seen St. Trina's Torch, and that's in, yeesh, like 60, 70 runs. So I'm not sure. There is a Mikola sword in base Elden Ring. I don't know if it's in this game. Aside from that, that's a Revenant. Quick damage test. Aside from that, yeah, I don't think that there's any sleep in Nightreign, or even in Elden Ring. It's a very underutilized mechanic. Revenants can be a big pain. This, which is why I'm happy to have this spell. As you can see, it's doing God's work. Ow. This is a multi-hit attack. I held circle too long. Yeah. So I'm going to be overusing the spell. Don't worry, this is the only run where I plan on equipping it because it's just that overpowered in my mind. But, I'm gonna be using the spell a lot because it just makes certain fights, like those, so much better. Ooh. So yeah, Equilibrious Beast, though, is weak to Madness. And there are only 2 weapons in the entire game that do Madness. One of them is Vike's War Spear, and the other one is the Frenzy Flame Seal, which my friend told me is in the game, and I have never seen. So, theoretically, that's in the game. Now, we're actually having a bit of a struggle here because I don't have any more FP. Perhaps the only weakness of the Calling Bell, so if you're wondering, yes, the best user of it is the Recluse. Because if you use this bell on Recluse, you will never run out of FP. Oh. That's one of the most friendly circle spawns I've ever seen. Yeah. The lack of frenzy in this game is honestly a problem, I believe. I get why it is how it is in base game, because in base game you have no real reason to want frenzy, so if it's rare, it's not a big deal. The fact that you need frenzy to make this fight easier, but there's only one way to get it, is extremely frustrating. Well, one viable way, because I'm not going to be using a seal on Wilder. He just doesn't scale good with Faith. Got Nagakiba, Magma Surge Sprint. The other thing I'm actually going to need is a bow. Probably not that bow in particular, but definitely a bow. And that's to do with a mechanic that the beast has, the Equilibrious Beast has, which it's very frustrating in multiplayer. I can't imagine it's going to be less frustrating in single player. I'll explain it before we get there. So, but watch out for it during the fight. Basically, at some point, I need to stop saying basically, the boss is going to try and meditate. And when he starts meditating, he'll sit cross-legged and a shield will spawn around him. Dude, this is so strong. If that shield isn't broken, you are in for a horrible, horrible time. And the way you break the shield is he will spawn floating sigils, and you need to run through the ones on the ground and shoot the ones in the air. What happens if you don't break those sigils? Well, he gets a pretty massive defense buff, yeah. He gets a massive defense buff, and on top of the massive defense buff, he also will get tracking on his strongest, well, not strongest, one of his strongest attacks will get tracking, which makes it so that you effectively cannot safely hit him without getting chunked for a ton of health. Yeah, it is very, very bad if you don't break those sigils, so try to bring a bow. If you do break the sigils, what happens is he gets an attack buff, but his moveset doesn't get buffed. And the moveset buff is definitely the scary part. The attack buff, like, he freaks out a little bit, but he doesn't, it's not that bad. With this, we have gotten every single flask that we can get, except that one, which I guess we could snag before entering the city. And we should be good. So let's clear out a few fortresses, kill some basic enemies, and just try to get to... I like to enter the city at level 7 or 8. Honestly, if you finish Night 1 at 7 or 8, you're having a pretty good run. How do I think they should have reworked Frenzy? Or Frenzy and Sleep, really. I think that if you go to one of the camps that's marked with Frenzy, so that's the Frenzy mark, you should be guaranteed to get a Frenzy weapon. And yes, Vike's Spear would be an overpowered guaranteed drop, but hear me out. Just make it so that Frenzy can roll on anything. It would effectively be... Now I'm saying effectively all the time. For most of the time, it would just be a fire buff. So, normally Frenzy Flame is flame. It does fire damage. So if you just make Frenzy Flame a fire buff, you solve... I would have died. Yikes. If you just make Frenzy Flame a slightly weaker fire buff that has a special effect on humanoid enemies, which are the only thing Frenzy works on in the first place, dude, you're like 90% of the way there. Like, you'd have a system where you could have a weak longsword. Let's see how much damage this does. Ugh, dude, it's so strong. You could have a weak longsword, and that weak longsword would be able to... That stinks. That weak longsword would be able to get Frenzy and apply the debuff, and you could upgrade it to strengthen it. Now you're not beholden to getting that one specific drop that you need to make this fight feel a million times easier. Like, if you get Vike's Spear, this fight is basically won. It's insane. Uh-oh. Ooh. Okay, jeez. Oh, that's really bad. Losing those runes hurts. Well, let that be a lesson. Always, always, always pick up your runes first. Now, as for jumping across gaps, I can't help with that. It just works when it wants to work. As for what's been on my mind lately, I've been thinking a lot about horror games. And I'm gonna say that, very, very emphasized every time. Because, yeah, horror games. Reason being, FNAF recently dropped the new game, so let's date the video with that. And, FNAF came to Dead by Daylight, which is another game I like to play quite a bit. In fact, I'll probably do some Let's Plays of that at some point. Like, once I'm feeling content with the Elden Ring stuff. If I find a good build... I don't know, with Dead by Daylight... I mean, similar thing with Elden Ring, but to a lesser extent, but with Dead by Daylight especially, I only really want to make a video if I have a build that I'm excited to play. Right? That way I'm never trying to force content. Right now, with Elden Ring, I keep learning new stuff, I keep finding new things, and it has me in a constant state of wanting to share it with people and being excited to do it. But, back on topic, I've been thinking a lot about horror games, what makes them good, what makes them bad, like, what makes people like or dislike them, right? And I kind of feel like I can put it into words pretty well, and at some point I'd like to make a video on it. But this is going to be me spitballing kind of the premise of it. Considered a sneak peek, I guess. Horror kind of can be broken into two main categories, and that's nothing new. There is the grotesque, completely out of left field, like body horror type stuff. You know, you see a thing and just looking at it makes your skin crawl. Then there is also the psychological horror. The like slow building. I'm not. This hand just fisted me. Like the slow building, I'm not sure things are what they seem type of horror. The uncanny valley, that like you're home alone at night and you're hearing noises style of horror. Where nothing has to jump out of you and actually scare you, you start getting into your own head. And I'm not fighting this. Five Nights at Freddy's, right, in the initial game was, as much as it was all about that jump scare and that was like the iconic piece that everybody got hit by, believe it or not, I think it did psychological horror much better than it did jump scare horror. Like, yeah, the jump scares will spook you, sure, whatever. It jumped out at me, oh no. But what that game really does when you watch the highlights is the anticipation of that jump scare gets to be so much for people that it almost, not even almost, it overwhelmed them more than the actual jump scare would. The jump scare was your relief. You had the humming office fan, which if anybody has ever had, oh, I got it, okay. I'll show that off in a second, why I'm so excited. But if anybody has ever had a low, constant buzzing noise, you know how grating that can get. On top of that, you had the, oh, can't grapple like that, my bad. You had the secluded nature of it, where there was nothing to look at, except for kind of the anticipation of, oh my god, what if something jumps out at me? Oh, I will take this bow in a heartbeat. Yes, please. So you had the waiting sense of like something is going to jump out at me and I don't know what and I don't like it. Finally, you had the best part of it, yeah, the best part of it, which is that feeling of, oh god, where did it go? Whenever things would move. Because you couldn't move, you couldn't track them, they didn't even move with motion, they would just disappear on you. And so you'd have this growing sense of psychological dread of like, I'm not alone here. Things are moving. Oh my god. And you know where I really understood that? FNAF VR. I was... I'm not somebody who usually gets very scared with horror games. FNAF VR terrified me. It made me stop and just turn it off on multiple occasions. Because it is so creepy. Oh, this is what I mean by the going this way in the city, by the way. So I'm gonna get to my marker eventually. But if you go this way, you get a lot of much easier enemies to fight. Like, none of these guys are going to be super oppressive, except maybe this annoying Astel. But you get some much easier enemies to fight to kind of power level yourself up when you're really weak like I am. We're going to activate this while he's swinging so that he can't go invuln. The Estella actually kind of gives us a helping hand as well. And this guy will drop a thing. More runes from defeated enemies, don't mind if I do. Also, this used to work in base Elden Ring. I guess it doesn't. That or it needs to be carry in retaliation. Base Elden Ring, you could actually use the Erd Tree shield to parry your own Wraith Calling Bell shots, and it would instantly activate the special effect of the shield. And I know that there's probably a lot of new people with Nightreign who haven't played Elden Ring because your friends are telling you, yo, dude, play this game with us. So the Erd Tree Great Shield, what it would do is it would just blast out a high damaging attack if you successfully blocked a spell with it. You could block your own spell though. So it was a super cool way to kind of force it to work for you. When otherwise, like, I mean, you'll notice trying to play this game, most enemies don't have a ranged attack that is magic. It's actually very sad. I am more than likely not going to be getting any madness, which is also very sad. Yeah. Stop saying but yeah. Navigating the city. Pretty simple in theory. Here's what you do. You enter in the center here, and you pick either this way, which has the crumbled floor, as you can see, or this way. Either way, once you get to the wing, you're going to go up. This route, you go up like this. The other route, you take a jump pad right here. Right? You're going to go up. And then your goal is to move in towards the center. And you can also, anywhere you see goo on the wall, it's telling you can climb here. There's not much reason to go up here. Just kind of a quicker way to navigate sometimes, but, I mean, it also lets you see the Estelle. And there are some goodies on the corpses up here. Probably not anything you'll want, but they're up here. Showing this stuff off is probably going to lose me my run, but the circle's not even closing, so we're not in a terrible spot. Do some parkour. And here's another grace. Yep, very, very efficient. It closes, and it closes here. So that gazebo down there is your big marker. This is the center. From here you could go fight the secret boss, or there are two bosses along the other side that you actually would have run into if you took the jump pad route that are pretty easy to kill and give you massive rewards. In my case, those bosses also are right near my objective. So we're going to kill this guy. Anybody who has that glowing black flamey effect, that is Deathblight. And they will drop an item for you. We'll take this because why not? Sure, defeating enemies restores HP. So yeah, you go over this way. Wait. Wrong this way. You go over this way, down the stairs. Ignore that guy, he's not friend. And you're going to see a headless troll to your side, and a black knife assassin right up here. There you are. Hey, no pokes. Come back here. Nice. Most of the difficulty in navigating the city is in just learning the layout. Once the layout is learned, oh, this is the best place to win a run, especially with friends. Without friends, it's a little harder, but, you know. I'm getting absolutely sauced, but we can get a quick backstab. And I have improved critical hits, so not bad. You can actually parry these guys, too. But the attacks that you can parry are kind of hard to decipher. Well, it's not that one. Whoa. Now, of course, this is a mini-boss, so if you kill it, you will get a grace. Gargoyle's magic sword, forked great sword, all resistance. Okay. The boss will try to frenzy you, so getting resistances to ailments is actually extremely helpful, specifically against him. We've also been very lucky in that we've not had a single world event. So, like, no Margit, nothing like that. Just fight the enemies. Part of, I'm considering releasing a full guide on this city, right? Like, just a full guide. It would really only be, like, probably 10 minutes long about just telling you what's on every side, what you should probably prioritize, and how to get the most out of farming it. Damn, that teleport completely screwed me. Oh, wait, no. Mostly screwed me. This is a Ash of War called Waves of Darkness. It's one of the best strength Ashes of War in Elden Ring base. It's also really good in PvP. I'm gonna hopefully get him to stop running and cut him down. Save myself some time. Might be getting hit by that? Nope. Yeah, your route should look something like this, I'd say. You should, assuming that you're of level, you should go in, you should go down the side that has the crater, right? Is that a Grace? Yeah, that's Grace. So, let me orientate myself. My objective is right up here. Oh, up one more. Hey. Not those guys. Yikes. Right up here. Ah, there it is. So this Mimic Troll only spawns because I'm currently doing Wilder's Remembrance. He is not part of this area normally. I'm a little bit afraid of that ghost. Especially with my dodging skills. Holy, I suck. Look at it go. I don't believe that this guy can disappear on me, so this should be pretty free if I just want to spam. But I kind of care about speeding this up more than I care about not dying, so... 1, 2, 3. We're probably not going to have time to do the boss. He is a tanky boy. I'll check, because I've never tried to fight him solo. I actually lived that. That's crazy. That didn't even proc my passive. There we go, enemy felled. And we're gonna eat a chicken wing and grab the objective. Objective achieved. 30,000. Ah, that's a base amount. I wasted my chicken wing. Okay, level 10, mastered legendary armaments. And we will give the boss a college try. Don't expect too much, but hey, may as well show him off. I'm surprised that's not a death pit, honestly. This map is oddly full of them. This does magic. Ah, I do not have time. So one problem I have with the city that is not shared with the rest of these is that you don't get time to do this objective. Like, just outright. Look how close the storm is to him. I could maybe try to brute force it, but it's just not worth it. Oh. It will just lose me the run. Now, getting out of the city is very easy. You can run in a completely straight line along this water. Always. The water is safe. Is safe the word? Yep, safe. Well, safe-ish. This guy's always going to be here, but he's really not a big deal. If you don't believe that you have time, you just keep going. I don't think he even wakes up or is up by the time you're gone if you do that. You can snag a few more kills on the way out, just because. And yeah, that is roughly how to navigate the city. Of course, I didn't show off going to the left, but that was just because I was very weak. I am very weak, even. Oh boy, and I keep getting nothing but magic weapons. Improved critical hits. Hmm. Improved ranged weapon attacks? I don't know. This is this is a little bit rough. But hey, I'm out, and I'm going to get a talisman for my trouble. Oh, one of the best tips that I've found for Wilder. Improves rolling, hurts nate damage negation. That might be good. One of the best tips I found for Wilder, though, is that you can pull bugs with your grappling hook. Another tip for this area, don't jump over this. It's a death pit. It's the most mean trick that they do. I've seen so many people go flying over that ledge because they just don't know. Now, I have improved stance breaking while dual wielding. That means, or the way that works is if you have two of the same weapon, you can press, well, not the same weapon, two of the same weapon type. This works with spears, great swords, regular swords, whatever. You can press L1, and you will swing both of them at the same time. This might seem like it's completely not helpful, and you know, honestly, it kind of isn't. But if you have two really strong weapons, it does a little bit more damage. At the cost of more stamina per swing, of course. And, in my case, I get improved stance breaking from it. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 double worth. I don't know what actually can spawn if beasts are my base enemy. I really like parrying these guys. I lie, because I can't actually parry him. He's parryable. I just can't. I'm washed. I'm rusty. Now you, on the other hand. Ow. Rude. I wasn't even done looking at you. Always roll that. I hate when they do this. AO? Chill, chill, chill. Swing at me. Bro, he's trolling. There we go. I was actually starting to wonder. Oof, I could have parried that if I was out of range. I would have died. Okay, lock in. It's, what is it? Commentator's curse? No, it's, recording curse. You try to record a thing and suddenly you just can't do it. Buff up my sword. This adds frost to it and also just a little bit more damage. He does a 1-2. I outspace it and punish. Now he activates this. And the fight becomes an actual fight. Let him swing. Gonna troll the hell out of the hippo real quick. And, actually, I'd like to not lose, so... I might be dead here. Okay, the hippo does, like, no damage. He is... I'd say this is probably the best RNG that you can get for this particular knight. Outside of the fact that this Crucible Knight has decided that he's going to be him and just block everything, I couldn't roll. Okay, well, I have the sloppiest fight of my life with this. There we go. Alright, hear me out. I said this was going to be a Crucible... Not a Crucible. A Bell showcase. Here we go. Oh man, the amount of times that I get killed because I try to show off with that. Not even show off, just do it for fun. Gold hippos are one of my favorite enemies introduced in the DLC. Now, if I just run for a second longer, I get my ult back. And shut up. I said shut. And one more. Alright, we're at least going to be making it to Libra. Awesome. Did I finish my thought about horror games? Frenzy Flame while walking. The only Frenzy Flame I have. It's actually really annoying to activate. Depending on your character. Guardian with the walking stuff is insane because he counts as walking while he's holding his great shield in his stance. Other characters with walking stuff, you kind of will only notice when you heal life, in my opinion. It's just hard to make it work. Now, I think I've done a pretty good job showing how incredibly strong this bell is. I don't know that it's going to be carrying me, especially with the boss being what he is and me not really having the craziest of stuff. But, we'll give it a shot. Carrying Grandeur. He is most weak to Fire and Holy. My best runs against him have always been just having a ton of Holy. As for horror, yeah, I feel like FNAF has kind of moved away from the horror that made it good, and is relying a lot more on chase sequences and stuff lately. But I'm also just happy to see a horror franchise doing so well, because I'll be honest, horror was feeling like a dying genre. All of the games that used to do it were moving away from it. Like Resident Evil, for instance, Resident Evil was an action game for like, I don't even know how many years. Resident Evil 5 really wasn't scary, 6 definitely wasn't scary. And then it took how long for 7 and 8 to come out? I don't even know what... I don't even remember 7, but... yeah. And then all of a sudden, like, FNAF hits the market and goes completely mainstream. And now all of a sudden, AAA developers are going, we want to do horror again. I think it's pretty nice. So this boss starts interestingly. He will give you the option of a deal. You have, I wish to have deep faith, I wish for eventual greatness, I want to fight at utmost strength, or I refuse to make a deal. Every single time that you come back to this fight, these 3 will be random. The only one, and they are monkey paws. You can take them if you want, but they are not just a buff. So this one, for instance, you will have your max HP and stamina and FP. But in return, when he hits 50% health, you double it. Or maybe not double, but it's a really big buff. This one would make me a faith build, meaning I'd lose all of my melee stats to do it. This one gives you a really big buff, like 20% damage reduction. Tell me that that just did nothing, because I don't know what happens if I stand here and talk instead of taking a deal. Well, I guess we'll figure it out. This is my favorite boss in the game, by the way. I'm glad I got him. He is very, very hard, though. I find in multiplayer, he's a little bit harder. Because your teammates, if you can even call them that, and not just sleeper agents, honestly, can also, not even can, will also get these circles under them. Why is that hard? Because... Oh, he's doing the thing. I don't have the stamina. No! Okay, there we go. That is how you break the circles. And this is his enraged state. He is going to absolutely flip out. He does a big increase in damage. But in exchange, he also takes more damage. Now, can I say that this is worth it? I don't know. Oh, run. And I say that honestly, because he hurts so bad when he gets buffed. I'd say it's more worth it in... I mean, it's always worth it to break the sigils, but, like, it's hard, man. We're gonna eat Exalted Flesh. And... Warrior. Another crit. Not another crit. Okay, I'm gonna just cry about it, I guess. He's generally pretty good about not being completely, like... Oh no, he's actually terrible about it. He's terrible. He's awful. He is completely unfair all of the time with the, sigils after the first time. Now, I'm gonna get hit a bunch here because I'm trying to walk. Rude. I'm trying to walk to activate the Frenzy Flame. Bro. But walking to activate the Frenzy Flame doesn't really work well. Oh. I was gonna say, this is a skill check. I need to run around and gather the gold coins. Ow. He's actually going to take damage again, which is huge. He has lost his buff. I think I saved this flask for my next life. This is going to be rough. No. You can just sprint through these, but you'll never get them all. Yeah, I wasn't even close. Change elevation. I would say changing elevation like this is the best way to actually avoid the circles. Yeah. This whole fight kind of comes down to do you or do you not get Frenzy sometimes. Because you can't break those circles after the first time. Or at least I never managed to. If somebody has a tip for that, I'd take it, because I fought this dude a lot, and it just doesn't happen. Yeah, lots of different ways to make horror, and to try to make it fun. And I want to see more developers lean into the horror that makes you just uncomfortable. That, like, feeling of there's something in here that doesn't belong, because the second that you understand the monster, it stops being scary. Anyway, we've got our remembrance thing, the silver tier. We have the Polished Burning Scene. Power up when facing Scarlet Rot afflicted enemies and Vigor +3. Polished Luminous Scene, which gives us nothing. Iron Eye with 1 additional character skill use. We can give his bow Endure, I guess. And Endurance +3. Right. I think if we fought anything but Libra and maybe Sentient Pest, we could have won that run. But I'm pretty happy with that one. I got to show off most of the Equilibrious Beast fight pretty well, I'd say. And yeah, you know, we'll win next time. And next time, I've actually got a pretty fun build in mind. So, yeah. If you're curious about the video, videos coming up. I'm working on a Black Myth Wukong video, and I want to make a video on difficulty in games. But we're not going to spoil that one. So the horror idea is far out, but that's because I just thought of it recently. Anyway, that's been all. Till tomorrow. See ya.